Chef Tom here. I hope you're all doing well. Today I'm going to work with one of my favorite ingredients, potatoes. And we're going to show you 3 great recipes. We're going to do a rösti, a Spanish tortilla, and a German potato salad. So let's get at it. We need our potatoes. The star of the show, these are russet potatoes, 5 peeled potatoes. I have some melted butter. That's a tablespoon of melted butter, about a tablespoon of chopped thyme, salt, pepper, and of course oil. So I've started shredding our potatoes on our box grater, so we want to shred them all up just like that. Shredded all our potatoes, and now it's time to squeeze out all the excess water out of our potatoes. So how we're going to do that is simply putting it in our hands and just squeezing that and getting that excess water out. So we've squeezed out all the excess water, so now it's time to season. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my fresh thyme, a little bit of salt, and then our pepper, seasoned to your taste, and then of course some of this clarified butter right in there. And what we want to do is just mix that all together. So we have a nice hot pan, and we're going to add about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And now we're simply just going to be putting in our rösti and packing that in. And we're going to let that cook for about 5 to 6 minutes on one side, and then we're going to flip it over. You can try and flip it by throwing it up, but that's a bit risque. So the safe way to do it is just put a plate and then invert it like that, and then slip it back in there. There you go. So now we want to keep this in here for another 4 to 5 minutes, and then it's going to be our perfect rösti. Okay, while our rösti is cooking away, let me show you the ingredients we're going to use for our Spanish tortilla. So we want to start off with russet potatoes. I've peeled them and I've sliced them about 1/8 of an inch. I've got a large onion that I've sliced, and we're going to be using 5 eggs, salt, pepper, and of course, good olive oil. So let's get at it. So we've added our potatoes and onions in a pan, and we have about 1.5 cups of olive oil in here. And we're going to be frying up our potatoes and onions until they're nice and tender. Once they're tender, we'll take them off and get to our next step. Okay, so while our potatoes and onions are frying away, it's time to beat our eggs. So I've added the eggs into a bowl, and we're just going to make sure that they're well beat, that there's no whites or any streaks, so just beat them very well. Okay, our potatoes and onions are ready. You can see they're getting a little bit of color. You don't want a lot of color, but potato will break if I just give it a little tap like that, so that's perfect. So now what we want to do is we just want to add it into our strainer and drain some of that oil. Our potatoes are slightly cool, and now we're going to add them into our egg mixture. And we're going to reserve that olive oil for cooking our tortilla. And then we're just going to mix this all together. We have our oil back into our pan, the reserved oil that I talked about. And now we're just going to add in our potato and egg mixture. I'm just going to lower the heat, and I'm going to mix that around. And then once we've mixed that around, we're just going to let the tortilla set. So at this point, I want to season my tortilla. Our tortilla is set now, and it's time to flip it over. So same way as we did with the rösti, we're going to put a plate over our pan, and then just quickly fold that over. Beautiful color. And then keep that in there for a few minutes. Let me show you the ingredients we're going to use for our German potato salad. We're going to use about 2 pounds of russet potatoes. Typically with German potato salad, you use red potatoes, but I don't have red potatoes, so russet it is. I'm going to use about 5 strips of bacon, which I've diced up, a large red onion that I've diced, I'm going to use some apple cider vinegar. Typically, you just use some white vinegar, but I don't have it. So apple cider vinegar is going to work great. About a tablespoon of sugar, 1 tablespoon of Dijon mustard, and some parsley for garnish. That's about 3 tablespoons of chopped parsley, and of course some salt and pepper. So while our potatoes are cooking away, we can start frying our bacon. When it's nice and crisp, we'll take out our bacon, put it on a paper towel to soak up some of the fat, but we're going to reserve some of this fat for our salad dressing. Nice and crispy. So we're just going to put that on a paper towel. So we have our bacon fat. We didn't get a lot of fat, so we'll keep that in there. So we're going to add in our onions. So our onions are nice and soft, so it's time to add in our vinegar. And then add the sugar. And our Dijon mustard. Okay, so our bacon and dressing are all done. Now it's time to dress the potato salad. So we're going to take our onion mixture and our vinaigrette, throw that in there while our potatoes are nice and warm. So we took the potatoes out, we strained them. And now we're going to add in our bacon. I'm going to leave a little behind just for garnish. Like that. A little bit of salt. You have to be careful because the bacon is salty. A little bit of pepper. Parsley, about half of the parsley. And then all we need to do is just stir that around. Potatoes 3 ways. Swiss-inspired Rösti, a Spanish tortilla, and a warm German potato salad. A little trip through Europe. I hope you enjoy it. Keep watching and see you soon.